I'm Maddie Bartosh. I'm the Trails and Education Coordinator at ROC. I will. Welcome to our River and Trail Updates meeting. So as I said, I'm Maddie Bartosh, the Trails and Education Coordinator. We'll just pass it down the line.
I'm Gabe Isaac. I'm ROC's Outdoor Programs Manager.
I'm Allie Houts. I'm ROC's Environmental Programs Manager.
Hi, I'm Daphne Hillman, and I'm the Sustainability Coordinator.
And David Caldwell, I'm with Mountain True, and we often partner with Rutherford Outdoor Coalition.
And not here with us today, Jerry Stensland. He's our founder and executive director. He founded ROC 20-something years ago?
22
years ago?
2000.
Yeah, so he's still with us, and he transferred from board president to executive director recently, which is exciting. And then Alan Herrick is our bicycle education coordinator.
So a little bit about Rutherford Outdoor Coalition. Yeah, sorry. So if you don't know us, just kind of an introduction to who we are and what we do. We do a lot of things. So today we're focusing mainly on our rivers and trails. But our mission is to inspire connections to nature through community, through sustainable outdoor recreation, education, advocacy, and stewardship in Rutherford County. So that's a vast amount of things. Our vision is to build positive relationships among those that we serve, our staff, and our community, based on a sound and firm belief in the power of education and connection and environmental advocacy. That we hope will encourage a sense of stewardship that lasts beyond just the outdoor experience that we can provide you. So to come on a river trip, clean up some trash, and then you're like, I love rivers, I'm gonna go and help all the rivers in the world. That's what we want, all right? These are some of our focus areas here. I'm just gonna briefly go over them. If you're really interested about them, you can come up afterwards and ask. But we got a lot of slides and updates for you, so we're kind of going through a little bit quick. The first one is our outdoor recreation information. We provide on our website a lot of that, where you can always talk to us. It's nice to have conversations. Trails and river stewardship, that's what we're gonna focus on mainly today. Outdoor and environmental education, a lot of youth adventure programs and environmental education programs connected to keep Rutherford County beautiful, helping keep our place beautiful, and educate people about that. And then we have a lot of annual recreation events that we guide, like guided hikes, river trips, etc. We'll let David talk to you about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just sorry, David.
So, David Caldwell, I work for Mountain True. We are an environmental nonprofit based in Asheville. We also have offices, my office is in Shelby. We have offices in Saluda, Boone, and Murphy. And we champion resilient forests, healthy communities, and clean waters, which is where I come in. I'm your broad river keeper. I work to protect and promote the rivers, lakes, and streams in the Broad River Basin, which includes Lake Lure, all of its tributaries, and the Broad River below Lake Lure. So as riverkeeper, I work to protect and promote the waterways, and we do things like river cleanups, often with Rutherford Outdoor Coalition. We do water quality monitoring. One of our programs is the swim guide that we do every summer. And so every Wednesday from Memorial Day to Labor Day, we sample waters at 10 different lake and river access points throughout the watershed. And we take those samples back to my lab in Shelby, analyze them, and then post the results on the Swim Guide website and app on Thursday so that people will know where it's safe to go swimming. We're testing for bacteria only with that. And if you'd like to know more, there's some information up here on the table. We fight polluters, so if we find high levels of pollution in places in the watershed, then we try to track down where that's coming from. And so if we find that polluters are discharging more than their limits allow, we work with North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality to get that straightened out. And we work with local residents and communities, and lots of volunteers. pretty much said it. So, does anybody know the name of the little creek that comes down in right here beside the beach? Is that Buffalo Creek? Okay. So that's a tributary of Lake Lure. And this is the Broad River watershed in North Carolina, which includes the Rocky Broad River, here's Lake Lure. The main stem of the Broad, here's the Green River that comes in and joins the Broad River in Rutherford County, and then comes on down into Cleveland County. The second Broad River runs basically from Marion down through Rutherford and into the Broad River. This is Sandy Run Creek, and the first Broad River starts in Rutherford County in the South Mountains, comes down through Cleveland County, through Lawndale, where I live, and into the Broad River. And the watershed also includes Buffalo Creek, which feeds Moss Lake here.
But you can definitely jump in if we miss anything.
Jump in.
Maybe, I don't know. No, I don't know. Okay, so, show of hands here, how many people have paddled on the Broad River on one of the sections? About half, like most people? Okay, sweet, awesome. Yeah, so we'll just kind of do a quick overview of the Broad River paddle trail before we get into what it looks like now. So the Broad River is a 49-mile paddle trail in Rutherford and Cleveland counties. So this is just kind of an overview, a picture of all the sections. So it starts all the way up below Lake Lure, the Lake Lure Dam, and then goes to Rock Springs Church Road, which is also River Creek Campground, Clark Road, River Road, Grace, Cox, and so on. There are 12 total sections. Not all of them are accessible to the public. We now have 4 public accesses. So that's Grays Road and Cox Road, and then now 221 and 221A are the new ones as well. But we do work with some of the landowners to access the river, and we were able to scout all the river except for the last 2 sections here. So we'll tell you more about that today. So the state of the Broad River right now, as we all know, there was a lot of damage with Hurricane Helene. We partnered up with David to scout all of the sections except for 11 and 12 to kind of clear out hazardous trees. So we were out there with chainsaws some days. We were marking things on ArcGIS, different debris. There's a lot of big debris, as you will see here soon. We kind of broke it down by blockages, so that's like when the whole river is blocked. Hazards and obstacles, just things that might be in your way. Litter and debris, there's a whole lot of that right now. And then a paddability rating. If you are interested in paddling, that'll give you an idea of which ones are good and which ones are not so great right now. So, Daphne here, the expert, will tell you. Starting at section 1.
All right, so starting at section 1, there is kind of one large, it is a partial blockage because you can pass it, but the McOwen Bridge, so someone's private bridge, did completely collapse into the river. So you can see that here, it takes up a really large portion, but you see right on river left here that you can paddle past it. But that is kind of the first major blockage, even though it is a partial. Just something to be aware of. Try not to get out if you do decide to go over there. Don't get out. There are some dangerous things near the bridge. And then approximately 0.62 miles from this bridge is a complete blockage on the right side of an island. So there's an island in the middle of the river over here. And so I have a picture right here. If you were to go to the left side of the island, it's really, really shallow, so you would have to get out and portage your boat, which means you would have to get out and drag it through that really shallow area. But if you go to the right, you can kind of paddle, but there is a complete blockage. What we ended up doing, we had 3 people, so it might be a little bit easier if you're paddling with someone, you can do this as well. But we were able to depending on the water level also, is we got the kayaks underneath the tree, and then we were able to get out and climb over the tree. Or you can get out on this side and climb around the root wall, but it is a little dangerous over there, especially now going into summer with snakes and things like that. So we recommend, if you do this, stay on the river right and see if you can get your boats underneath. But if the river did go any higher, this would be a little bit more of an issue to go that way. You're good.
Daphne, do you want to talk about how low the water was that day when we paddled?
Yeah, I think, yes, here's a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So, like David said, the water was extremely low that day. So we did end up having to get out and drag our kayaks through quite a bit of like low water gravel. But besides that obstacle, there are multiple piles of debris, woody and both like hurricane debris, as well as hanging trees. So you can kind of see like an example of a hanging tree here. Depending on water level, that could definitely be a hazard. And then this is what some of those debris piles look like, creating really narrow passages, which you can get through without getting out. But it does create obstacles, and it does require you to maneuver a little bit quickly sometimes, depending on the flow. And then overall, we said that this section of the river is difficult to paddle if it's low. And then that one blockage could definitely make an obstacle, but you could possibly go to the left if the water was higher. So yeah, a lot of sand, gravel bars, requiring boardage.
I'm gonna raise my hand.
Yes, yes, stay there.
So, yeah, the level of the river that day was really low. So if Lake Lure is not generating power and those turbines are running, then not much water is being released from the dam. And the river below the lake can be very shallow, almost impassable. Unfortunately, there is not a public gauge, like a USGS water gauge, available in this section of the river below the lake. That's something that we've been talking to USGS folks about, and also we have talked to some management with the town of Lake Lure about having a gauge installed below the dam so that people can be able to go online and see, well, is there enough water for me to paddle today, rather than going out there and being surprised by low water. And the other thing I want to say about this section is the debris that's in there is not as much as it was 2 months ago. We have partnered on 3 different river cleanups. We went into River Bend community one day and got a dump trailer full of trash plus more. We went behind Lake Lure Marine on their property and the neighbor's property, and out onto the islands in the river and removed tons of trash and debris. And then right at Rock Springs Church Road, we did a 3rd cleanup, and we'll be doing a lot more of those this summer. So if you want to volunteer, those were all land-based, like going in from the stream banks. But this summer we'll start doing boat-based cleanups, and it's a lot of fun. So y'all come join us.
Thanks, David. No. All right, so our next scout, we did 2 sections kind of in one. So we did sections 2 and 3. So let's see, on this one we had 1 complete blockage, which was 3.18 miles from Rock Springs Church Road. There is not a public river access over there right now. I'm just using this as so you can kind of gauge what the distance is like. This is that blockage. Might be a little bit hard to see, but there's a big boulder right here in the middle of the river. So what we did is we came in and we cut a lot of these branches here. You can kind of see we're on the other side. So we're on the other side cutting. So you can see us cutting some branches here. And now you can take your kayak through that area. It is narrow and it is quick. So it can be a little touchy, but it is possible to go through that way. There are other partial blockages in this section, but they're all maneuverable, so without too much hassle. And then this is a picture, another picture kind of shows what kind of woody debris that you're going to encounter. So also on this section, there's going to be multiple hanging trees and woody debris piles, but they, again, relatively easy to maneuver with caution. So a little bit more on this section. There are large debris items. So in this picture here, it's kind of hard to see, but if you can see this bright green kind of square, that is a dumpster. And then above it is like a water tank. So there are definitely some big debris items in the river. And then another picture here, so where the water does slow down, kind of maybe because of a tree, maybe because of an eddy or something like that. Trash does pile up. So you can see this little square right here, that's actually a mini fridge. And then kind of harder to see is a bunch of other small debris items in there. And this is what a lot of the banks look like on this section as well. So there is a lot of riverbank damage. Overall, this section, if you were to be able to access it, it's easy to paddle with minor obstacles and blockages and just a few quick maneuvers. All right. So River Road.
We have had some success with interacting with the owner of the ROC Springs River Creek Campground. So although he does not really allow public access, if you want to float the section, you could probably go down there and talk to him and like, you know, introduce yourself and be cool, and he'd probably let you put in. It's a gorgeous section of river, like 7.5 miles.
And
I will say a caveat with that is they are still recovering themselves
Yeah.
from hurricane damage. So be mindful of that if you are going to reach out to them. They may not be as open as they are in the past because they're still trying to get things back to normal, or some sense of normal for them.
And I think at one point you did note with him that there is like a little bit of a, like he asks if you just like donate like $5 or whatever.
In the past, that's
Yeah.
been the case.
So just keep that in mind if you do decide to approach him.
And I think we're gonna do some little debris
Yeah.
cleanup on his property too, which should help with PR.
Yeah. All right, so on to section 4. So this is River Road to Grays Road. This was a rough section. There were multiple blockages, like complete blockages. So 4 miles from the River Road access where we put in, there is a complete blockage, and because of the depth of the river here and how fast it's moving, it's really hard to get in there with chainsaws or really anything, just because you can't really get your footing. We also can't really see what's underneath the water here, so it is a hazard for us to go in there as well. But if you find yourself on this section of the river and you want to get past this tree, what we did is around the root ball on River Right, we cleared there was some poison ivy. We did clear a little bit of a path so you can walk around that root ball. But if you get out of your kayak over here, it's really deep. It's not like a gradual riverbank. It's kind of a deep drop, maybe 3, maybe 4 feet, and it is very sinky and slippery. So just keep that in mind. So if you do get out of your kayak, it is a little tough, and you can get up around there, and you can pull your boat around that root ball. Allie did successfully go under this little loop. I don't recommend it. Don't recommend it. Really difficult, and there's a lot of really scary bugs.
Yeah.
I decided to make that loop a ton. Not recommended.
Yeah, that's a really big river no-no, is going under any very low-hanging ones. Those are called strainers. Anyone made pasta before? No one made pasta before? Okay, we got at least one person back there. You know, you strain the noodles out of the pasta. You're the noodles in this situation, and those the water is the water in this situation, but it just keeps coming. It doesn't empty out. So you want to be really aware of those going down the river and make sure you're avoiding going under anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And then, so this was about 4 miles. So the next complete blockage was 5.8 miles from where we put in. Kind of a similar issue, really deep water, hard to get in. You can portage to the right. This one was a little bit easier. It is shallower, but it is slippery, and it's a little bit easier to pull your boat over the tree. Another blockage. This one was 4.5 miles. So what's not shown in this picture, and I apologize, right about here is a gravel bar, and then the river continues kind of on this side. So this tree was kind of similar to that other picture that had the boulder. We did clear a lot of the limbs so that if you do choose to kayak through there, you can get through, but it is really narrow and it's really quick. And there is some debris right on the other side. So if you're not able to maneuver really fast through that narrow passage, you're going right into that debris. So what we recommend is portaging your boat over that little gravel bar and just popping over on the other side. And then, so for additional hazards and obstacles on this section, there are many large strainers, large hanging trees, large woody debris piles. They all require some maneuvering because they are kind of everywhere on this section. We did trim when possible to lessen the complexity, which is not always possible. And then, I don't have a picture of it, but this specific section, really high percentage of the banks were really severely damaged. More. So yeah, here's some litter and debris. So for some reason, another mini fridge. There were a lot of mini fridges. Propane tanks, roofing, some really sharp stuff. We even found an upside down pontoon boat. So there's a lot of stuff in this section. So we don't recommend going this way. It is really difficult to maneuver. And there's a lot of places that require portage.
So what's the future for that big stuff?
Like the debris or like the
pontoon
trees?
boats and,
Yeah.
you know, the propane tanks and the refrigerators. Now, I had heard that, well, I heard the Army Corps of Engineers is gonna come in and clear some trees, but I don't think that means that stuff.
They will not be, they won't be, the contractors are not gonna clear out
Right.
debris like this. So really it would have to be the county, someone would have to step in and get contractors to come remove the things that volunteers can't get, basically, because we can only get so much, you know?
It's not gonna be fast, for
Right.
sure, or
Yeah.
easy, but
Right.
probably the best option in situations like that is to, like, maybe we could contact the landowners that have river frontage in that section and ask for permission to go onto their property, kinda like we did with the river cleanups just below the lake, and remove debris, but then, you know, whether or not you can even get a vehicle in is
Right,
a big
right.
question. So, yeah, unfortunately, the Army Corps did not really focus on like spot cleanups of big debris. I'm not saying that that's completely out of the question. We should talk to the Army Corps and see if they'd be willing to do that. I know in Cleveland County, they're cleaning up the entire stretch of the Broad River and the first Broad River in the whole county. So they're going all up and down the rivers. They're not doing that in Rutherford County, or they haven't done it to this point. But we could talk to the folks at Rutherford County. I think probably who's in contact with the contractors in Rutherford County? Is it Rutherford Emergency Management?
Paula Roach.
With the county.
Okay,
She's doing the storm debris removal. It's paula.roach@rutherfordcountync.gov.
So Rutherford County just started their own PPDR program, personal property debris removal program. We've worked with the town on getting our Bald Mountain Spillway cleaned up, and then the north end of Bald Mountain Lake. So we are working with those organizations. It seems like we're getting some traction there. Yay! But I don't know what the scope of work includes. And they also talked about accessing, the need to access through private property, so, but we're working on it from that direction too. Yes.
Cool. And it gets better as we go down the river, we found.
Yeah, it's, this section was the problem section, but
Yeah.
the rest aren't quite as bad. Here's another picture of this section, so you will, here's another tree that's fallen, depending on water level, you can go under it, but it is definitely a hazard. This is kind of what some of those partial blockages that you might have to quickly maneuver around, kind of look like, so you can kind of see what that looks like. And here is another picture of a damaged river bank. Alright, Grace Cox Road, both have public accesses, and this is definitely a paddleable section. So, however, approximately 1,000 feet from Grace Road access, we did encounter a complete blockage, but you can portage on River Left here. There is a gravel bar, but it's pretty easy. It's pretty shallow, so you can easily get your boat around there. And if the water is higher, you could probably kayak over it. We did do some chainsaw work.
2 hours worth of chainsaw on that one tree, and you got my chainsaw stuck, and
Yep.
lost the board.
1,000 feet from the put-in.
Yeah, once these two start going on a tree, they can't leave it alone.
After that, it was real easy.
Yeah. We're hoping that we did do some chainsaw work, so we are hoping that the tree did drop a little bit. We're hoping that maybe with all the rain that's happened, might have moved it.
It was cut completely through, but the weight of the tree was just pinched on itself. So if we got any high water between now and then, it could have pushed open. But that's a big could.
It's a big,
Easy to get around it,
Yeah,
easy to get around.
on the left side.
easily possible.
There are 2 additional partial blockages, approximate 2.7 and 4.5 miles from the access. We were able to clear portions of them so you can paddle through them. This was one of them. It was pretty shallow, which also kind of helped, but we were able to clear out a section of that tree. And then this was kind of another one of those blockages. It's really grainy, sorry about that. But we did clear out some of that. It was like random limbs, so you can get through it. In this section, there's also multiple strainers, hanging trees. About 1.5 miles from the access are these hanging trees, which you can see kind of poses a hazard depending on the water level. And then there's a lot of farm debris from the hurricane, so you can kind of see some of that stuck in the trees up here. Some more damage with the So the overall paddleability of Grayson Cox, it is passable without much difficulty. Of course, depending on the water level, there are some quick maneuvering around like debris piles. High levels may cause difficulty with hanging trees, but low levels may require portage over gravel bars. So overall, passable, totally doable. From Cox Road to Forest Ford Road, there was one complete blockage, approximately 2 miles from the access. We cleared multiple branches to make a passage. So this is that complete blockage. I cut out a lot of this picture. This tree was huge. It's a wide river over here. So we ended up clearing a lot of these branches in this area. As you can see us over there. And you are able to stay in your kayak and go around this blockage now. This kind of shows what some of the debris from the hurricane looks like. There's a lot of like metal roofing, and we did notice at times that there would be metal roofing in the river when you can see it, and that's kind of the thing about that is you can't always see the debris at the bottom of the river. But we do see a lot of this along the banks. So it is something really important to keep in mind. So yeah, lots of household debris, or actually it's only some household debris on this one, some woody debris, but overall passable, and there was some really nice wildlife. We saw a bunch of spiny soft-shelled turtles. They were really big, they were like this big, so that was really exciting. And then just another kind of look at what some of those partial blockages look like if you are trying to maneuver through there. So for cores 4 to 221, we did 3 sections. Cores 4 to 221 is 3 sections. This section was clear of blockages. It's really wide, so it'd be kind of hard for somebody to fully block that. There are a few hanging trees. Again, pretty wide, easy to get around. There are some rapids in this area. This is not really hurricane related, but just a heads up, there are some rapids that you do have to maneuver. And like most of the other sections, tires, woody debris, household debris, metal roofing. But overall, this section was good. Just accesses are an issue, yeah. And then 221 to 221A, both have public accesses. This section was also clear of blockages. There were, like most others, large sheets of metal and other debris to be cautious of, lots of tires, gas cans, and other debris you need to pick up. But overall, it's ready to paddle, and both of those accesses are now open to the public. They just like opened, so it's like really exciting. They've got fresh, clean asphalt. It's wonderful.
It's very smooth.
It's very smooth. Wonderful, yeah. So just overall, palatable notes. So on all sections of the river, keep in mind high, low levels of water, especially with all the rain we've been getting lately, that could cause things to move. So high water may cause blockages and obstacles to migrate, and said that. And then for debris, hazards, and obstacles, there is debris that protrudes from the river, so sometimes you will see like a chair or other things like that. A lot of the time you can see a lot on the riverbanks. There are lots of hanging trees to be careful of, especially depending on the water level. And it is advised, I cannot say this enough, stay out of deep sections of the river. If you can't see to the bottom and you can't see what's down there, we don't know right now what's down there, and we don't want anyone getting hurt. So stay in your vessel in deep sections of the river. I think I said that right. Okay.
Yeah, so just kind of to recap the sections, which ones are accessible and which ones are the best to paddle. So number 1 would be 221 to 221A. Like Daphne mentioned, it's the new section. Really excited about it, freshly paved, ready to go, and it is the best section to paddle that we've been on. So highly recommend that. And then the second one would be Grays Road to Cox Road, which also has public accesses. Like Daphne mentioned, it is able to be paddled. There's just like a few obstacles. And then we kind of ranked the other ones. The other ones do not currently have public access. But we also
on both ends.
both ends, yeah. And we also have this on a sheet over there that we did not mention yet. We kind of have overviews of all the sections, what's on them, what to look out for. And we do have like a ranking of all these sections if you're interested in paddling. And this is kind of just a map overview. This is actually all of our GIS points for different things that we marked, which is a lot. So just different debris, blockages, things like that to be aware of. Yeah, so that was it for that one. So Broad River trip reports. If you have paddled any sections of the Broad River, or if you kind of want to check out and see what's going on out there before you make your trip out, we actually have a page on the ROC website that Maddie is bringing up on cue.
On my tab.
there is a Google interactive map that you can check out to find the different accesses. There's each section here laid out. If you click on each one, you can see more information on it. And then if you scroll down, you can see trip reports. So Daphne did this one. We have them for all of the sections right now. And you can just scroll down and kind of see which ones. Don't look at the ones from 2020. We don't know how to get those off. But yeah, so
It's still relevant.
yeah, it's still been relevant. So, and if you wanted to post a trip report, you can post one right here. There's actually, so we have members with ROC. If you're interested, we would love for you to become one. But basically, you need a login to post a trip report. But if you are not a member and you want to report to us what you saw on the river, you can always email us at info@rutherfordoutdoor.org, or any of us that you know. You can always email us, and we'll post the trip report out there for everyone else to see.
Hey, can I interject one thing?
Sure.
Would you go back to the Rutherford
Yeah.
page? And yeah, so what one other possibility that is open for paddling, and there are public accesses at either end, would be to do sections 11 and 12. So you can put in Highway 221A, float down about 2 miles or so, and you're gonna have to portage the Duke Power Dam. And there's a big sign out there, take out here, that it's not dangerous, it's a little arduous, it's 100 yards or more. But you know, you tag team your boats, you can carry them around the dam, put them back in, and then it's a beautiful float. Just going past Lake Hauser. It's not open to the public yet since the hurricane did some damage. But just going past Lake Hauser to the Broad River Greenway, where there's public access and restrooms, and so you're looking at like 2 miles, portage the dam, and then another 5.5 miles or so. It's all gorgeous river. Thank you.
Yeah, that's that email.
Yeah, this is the email here. Gabe also has her cards up there. She was good and remembered her business cards when we did that. So yeah, you can always send us an email, come find us. We'll post your trip report for you. So kind of talking about what we're doing and what's been going on so far. So phase 1 was the contracting cruise, which we talked about. So they removed large debris and blockages that were 1,500 feet upstream of the bridges. So that means that there's a lot of river that was not cleaned up. So that's kind of where we're trying to come in and help in partnership with Broad River Keeper. So like David mentioned earlier, we did some riverside cleanups, had a lot of awesome volunteers come out to help with those on the Upper Broad River. We removed probably like 3,000 some pounds.
At least.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we had a big, big dump trailer, and every time we filled it up over capacity, and either had to leave a little bit and go back and get it, or stick some in somebody else's truck. So
Yeah.
yeah, we had a lot of debris.
Right. Yeah. And then coming up next too, I think David also mentioned this, are the On the River sweeps, which we're really excited for. I think we actually have more slides.
First one's June 21st.
Yep. May 31st, actually.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll get to
yeah.
it. We'll get to it. So here are the riverside cleanups that we mentioned. Here's the first crew here. There were actually more people. There were like 25 people. We just couldn't get everyone in a picture. So yeah, and if you see here, this is John Stamper with Mountain True. He's been bringing down their dump trailer to help us haul out debris. Been a really awesome partner. Yeah, and there are going to be more cleanups to come. Like David mentioned, there's a lot to clean up, and we want to do all we can to help. So yeah. And then coming up soon on the river sweeps. So we are going to be doing quite a few river sweeps this summer. And we have our first one actually this Saturday, May 31st. Yeah, already. So we're going to be going from Grays Road to Cox Road. And we are going to be paddling down the river in kayaks, canoes. We're encouraging people to bring their own, but we do have some. If you don't have a kayak or canoe, we still want you to be able to join even if you don't have one. But yeah, basically asking everyone to bring a boat if you have one, paddles, and your personal flotation device, or PFD. And then we will have all the trash bags, gloves, grabbers, all kinds of fun things. We have really fun river grovers now that have teeth on them, so they're pretty fun.
They're like giant tongs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
River
But
tongs.
they do the job.
Yeah. Yeah, so we would love to have everyone out there on May 31st, this Saturday. And then we also have one on June 21st in partnership with David, on the new section, 221 to 221A. And we'll have more to come. We'll have an ongoing schedule. Yeah, keep cleaning up the river. Yeah.
Get caught in a strainer, we use those big tongs to pull you out like possible.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable.
But yeah, so that's the river, and then we're gonna go into trails. Does anyone have any questions in the meantime, or even ends? Yeah.
Limitations if you volunteer, like age-wise?
I don't believe so. There might be. Is there a minimum age that
Our-
military does?
For ROC, our policy is you have to be 18 or older unless you're accompanied by an adult. And for river cleanups, we let the adult determine if their kid is old enough to go out there. Our general age is like if they're above 10, then they're okay to go. If you're like, I have a super mature 9-year-old or an 8-year-old, then we can let that happen, but you're responsible for them at all times. So usually we want to put them in a boat with someone. If you have your own boat, it's a tandem, that's great. We only have a couple tandems, tandem boats. So if you're like, I have my 8-year-old want to go, but I don't have a boat, you may not get that boat. But yeah, we let it up to parental discretion.
Would it also maybe depend on what section, like some
Yeah.
places, like I'm thinking, if I'm doing, Pours Forward to 221, it's like 10 miles, I might not let kids come on that, you know, they get kind of grumpy after several hours in the
If
water.
you're going on like River Road to graze and helping clean up, that's a harder section because of the maneuverability and stuff. You might want to leave, you know, your kid at home for that one. But if we're doing a bigger section that's shorter, like 221 to 221A, that would be a great section to take your 8-year-old on to help out with. Yeah. You can always like email us and ask and be like,
Yeah,
hey,
you can always talk to
I
us,
have
yeah.
this age person. They're this capable. Do you think this section would be okay to take them on? And we'll be happy to answer that question for you.
Okay, I know that was a lot on the river. The trails, we just have a few updates. Last meeting we talked about Dimmer Watts, Buffalo Creek Park, and Weed Patch, all the Lake Lure trails that ROC helps maintain. Dimmer Watts has been open for a while now. We're back to regular maintenance, so that's happy and exciting, but I'm not gonna talk about that trail because we have a lot of other stuff. So first I'll bring up Weed Patch Mountain. Are you all familiar with the Weed Patch Mountain Trail? Mostly.
I'd like to be.
Not right now, sorry. So Weed Patch Mountain Trail is about 10 miles of backcountry mountain biking trail. You can also hike it, but it's an out and back. Well, it's not anything right now, but it was an out and back for a while, so that's a little tough to hike. But yeah, it got hit pretty hard by the hurricane. I don't have any before pictures anymore because we've been working on it, so now we just have a bunch of workday pictures. So since our last meeting in March, we've had 3 work days with different groups and removed almost 200 trees from 4 to 5 miles of the trail, which is really awesome. There's so much more to do. Those are like the easiest sections of the trail that we've cleared so far. So the more dense sections with a lot of trees down, we're still working our way up there. But yeah, we worked with Pisgah Area Sorba. That's them in the bottom left picture. They came out and helped us with a pretty steep section. It was a tough hike. And then yeah, we've partnered with Town of Lake Lure always for our work days in Lake Lure. But the gator that we were riding in that middle picture was provided by the fire department through coordination with Town of Lake Lure. So they've been a huge help letting us get get access up there while the access roads are difficult to maneuver with a regular vehicle. And then yeah, we had 2 regular volunteer work days that allowed us again to remove 200 trees from almost half of the trail. So excited about that. Yeah, here's just a few more pictures. Beautiful days while we're out there chainsawing, and always a great view on that trail.
We also had a reporter
Yes,
come out and
from the Rutherford. It's an online like bicycle media source. Somebody who has a connection to this area. Andy Carr, his grandmother, who I think has since passed, lived in Lake Lore, and he came and lived with her for a whole summer and would ride that trail every day, like it was part of his routine. So he actually came out and helped us and took pictures and gathered some info for for his article about Hurricane Helene and the impacts of it. So
which
that's
we were
super
told
exciting.
should come out in like 6 months. So
Yeah, it's a
now
long
probably
project.
5.5, 4.5.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be exciting to see whenever it comes out.
Is there any access to that trail?
It is totally closed right now. Sorry, yeah, if some of you weren't at the last meeting, so both Buffalo Creek Park and the Upper Boulders and Weed Patch Mountain, all of the Buffalo Creek Park trails are closed to the public at this moment. Was that yours? Okay, yeah, because we lost public access at the top of the trail, and there's some work happening right now where there will hopefully be another public access at the top of the trail by the time that it's open, but we're not sure on all of that just yet. But yeah.
The Schumann area?
Yeah, in Schumann. Yeah, we lost access to like the Eagle Rock parking lot, if you all are familiar. But yeah, still closed at this point while we are removing trees. So moving on to Buffalo Creek Park and the Upper Boulders Trail. So Buffalo Creek Park is the loop trail that Weed Patch Mountain connects to. You can get to it right off of Buffalo Creek Road down here. So we've also had 3 work days on that trail and the Upper Boulders Trail that shoots off of that one. That trail's actually maintained by the Carolina Climbers Coalition, but we've been helping them restore it since the storms. We're all in the same spot. We're all trying to do the same things. So the loop trail is pretty rough, especially the south side of it. So that side has kind of been forgotten about. So we've been focusing on going from the parking lot, that big gravel lot, connecting back to the loop and getting to the Upper Boulders Trail. Because the Upper Boulders Trail is ready to open, we just need to create access to it. So we have successfully reconnected them. There's a creek crossing at the parking lot that takes you from the parking lot to the loop trail. That has been fully stabilized thanks to Conserving Carolina's rock crushers. I'll mention them in a second. And then we filled in some root ball holes on the trail. So if y'all aren't familiar with trees falling, whenever they just pull out of the ground, they take all that soil with them. So a lot of them were on the trail and took the trail out whenever they fell. So we've been filling those in, reinforcing them with rock to make sure that it's something comfy to walk on and you aren't gonna fall into a hole by accident. So we've been filling a bunch of those, removed a bunch of trees from the loophole, from the loop trail, sorry. And we also had to make a creek crossing. What is the other small creek on that trail? There's another creek that goes through that trail system, and there was another blowout there. So we had to reconnect those trails there and do a creek crossing. We built like 50 to 100 feet of trail and some rock staircases, which was really great. So we're getting really close to opening that up. I can't officially say that it's open just yet, but hopefully in the next week or 2, we're gonna be able to open the loop trail partially to the Upper Boulders Trail, which would be about 3 to 4 miles of trail open.
And it's got a gorgeous view at
Yes.
the top as well. If no one has been on the Upper Boulders Trail before everything got closed, it's got a gorgeous view at the top. Right now it might be a little bit leakier, but especially if you go up there in fall, you've got a great viewpoint. And either way, you still get a viewpoint at the top, but it's a nice trail.
Public access, not the Roman ball.
Yes,
It will be
we're gonna be working on
public access.
reconnecting the 2 parking lots. We're not sure how much we wanna open just yet so people don't go wandering, because that side's closer to the landslide and you'll have to go past the landslide. So that's another thing that we have to figure out before officially opening everything. But yeah, this all access is gonna be from the public lot. Yeah, and so these work days we did in partnership with Conserving Carolina. As I mentioned, Conserving Carolina staff came, and also their rock crushers, which is a volunteer crew. They literally go go out and crush rocks and like build infrastructure with rocks, stone stairs, creek crossings, things like that. So they were huge help with all of the creek crossings we had to stabilize, and staircases. Carolina Climbers Coalition, as I mentioned, they've been out there with us. It's their trail, so we've been helping them kind of with their restoration plan. And of course, the town of Lake Lure provides tools and helps us define our vision for the trails as we restore them. And also, just this past Wednesday at our work day, we had a group of high school sophomores, I believe, from Lake Lure Classical Academy out with us. So we had them out there filling in those root ball holes I mentioned. They did a really great job. I think there were 7 of them, and we got that hole filled pretty quick. So we're very grateful for them. And then this is just a picture of the rock crushers. So this is one of those staircases. Oh, what did I do? Okay, sorry. This is one of the staircases that they built. It's a weird one because they had to go around this big boulder that we like could not move, but it was the best path to reconnect things. So they actually built a staircase off screen there, up, and had to go around that root ball. So they did really awesome work.
Yeah,
They don't
you
move at
can
all.
see it up in the upper right-hand corner there. That how we're moving boulders. We're putting them in
It's like a
little
net.
rock
that you put
nets,
in.
and then we are collaborating together and working as a team to make it move. Otherwise, we'll hurt ourselves.
Yeah.
But
And
good
this
work.
picture, this picture is from the top of those stairs, and you can see that's where the nice calm creek, if you've ever been on this trail, like covered with rhododendrons, and there was a tree log that you would like walk across, there's a bridge, is now just like exposed rock, and a lot of trees just thrown about. So we've made a path through it. It's definitely different than before, but it's a trail, so we're excited about that.
It did open up like a nice little rock waterfall you can see
It
up
is
above the trail. So it's not the same with the roto cover and that kind of beauty, but it's got its own little beauty to it now as well.
Yeah. So that is what we've been doing. And so moving forward, we are happy to announce that we have like an official trail crew now. Before we would just have like random ROC work days, like come on trail with us, but we've kind of built an identity for us with the ROC Trail Tamers. So
Logo is in the works.
yeah, we're trying to figure out the logo and get shirts and stuff. But it just gives us a bit of an identity, and we've now decided we're gonna be meeting every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. at different trails. So as I mentioned, we do Dimmer Walks, Weed Patch Mountain, and Buffalo Creek Park. But we also do the ICC trails in like the Rutherford, Spindale area. So we'll kind of be figuring out which trails we're going to what day and send that out to our trail tamers and anybody else who's interested. So ICC and Dimmer Watts is gonna be a lot of regular maintenance. Clearing back overgrowth, removing fallen trees, not in the amounts of Hurricane Helene. Making sure that water is draining properly and it's not eroding the trail. Just simple stuff like that. If none of that means anything to you, don't worry. Volunteers of all skill levels are welcome. We do a lot of instruction on these work days and guide you through all the tasks. So even if you've never touched a like digging tool in your life, don't worry, we've got you.
Maddie taught me, so.
And it's a lot of fun, I think. It's hard work, but it's a good time. But yeah, Weed Patch Mountain right now is mostly chainsaw work. If you aren't certified, you're still welcome to come. You'll just be what's called a swamper. They're kind of a safety assistant for somebody using a chainsaw, making sure nobody's in their bubble and making sure they're not doing something dumb and endangering themselves. So even if you've like never even operated a chainsaw, we could still use the help. And then Buffalo Creek Park might be some chainsaw work still, but we're also gonna have some regular maintenance again there when the trail is open very soon. So lots of different things for you to do to get involved with. And yeah, every Wednesday at 9 a.m. The first one is going to be June 4th at the ICC trails if anyone's willing to make the trek over there. So now, what you can do today.
All right, so now that you have heard what's happening and what we're doing, we're gonna just give you some ways that you're like, now what do I do? We have a lot of things that you can be involved in as well. Like we said, we have our trail and river work days. This Saturday is our first one. I think we got quite a crowd for that one. Doing those river sweeps is gonna be super helpful. We're gonna have a lot of them this year. So if you missed one, you can catch the next one. We have that June 4th Trail Tamers Workday at ICC, but then we'll have more of those work days. If you want to get out on Weed Patch or Buffalo Creek, those will be coming up as well. Our next river sweep is June 21st. That will be in partnership with the Broad River Keeper right over there. That's going to be the two new river access, public river accesses, 221 to 221A. We also have our links to register on our website. So if you forget everything we just told you and are like, I don't know what I can sign up for, you can go onto our website, you can grab a flyer as well, and it has the website on there. So you can see all of our events posted on our website, and you can register directly off of there. We also do Facebook posts if you're a social media person and you find out stuff by scrolling through Facebook. We have Facebook. You can follow us, like us, something like that.
All of it, yeah.
Do one of the Facebook things where we pop up. And we post our events on there as well. Obviously, I'm not the Facebook person. Then we also have newsletters and emails. We have a couple different ones. We have a Workday Trails events specific one, and then we have a general newsletter. If you're interested in getting those, we send them out monthly-ish. Then you can let us know over here, and we'll sign you up for that. So you can just get an email directly to you, and it says, hey, we have all these events happening this month, come and join us. We do want to put out there that you must register for these. Since we are doing stuff that requires a lot of equipment like boats and PFDs and trail tools and all of that, we do need to have a head count so we can be like, okay, we've got 15 people on this, we bring 15 helmets, we bring, they have 5 boats, we have 5 boats, we bring it together. So having that registration really helps us keep you safe and have everything go smoothly. Yeah. And then we have an information table right over there with fun stuff, signing up for the email list. We've got the flyers, like I said. If you haven't filled out a survey yet, we still have some surveys over there. If you want to give us some feedback and say like, hey, I'd really like to see this happening, or like, I'd really like to join this, we can put you on that list over there, or we can try to start things. I think we did started a wildfire hike or something. What was it?
A tree ID hike.
Tree ID hike, yes.
That was
Daphne is leading a tree ID hike. That was one of the popular ones from our last survey. So if you put it on there, we might be able to bring out an event for that. And then lastly, follow us on Facebook so you can be a part of our progress, whether you're in the pictures or you just want to be updated on it. And that's all we got for you. If you guys have any questions for us, now's the time. Yeah.
Do you guys have anybody that's good with edible mushrooms?
We do not personally have anyone who's good with it. I have a couple of questionable friends, but I don't think we're professionally going to take them out.
I live in now for.
What are you
I love edible
looking for?
mushrooms, not eat them.
Well, are you looking for like, cause I did my research on mushrooms.
Yeah.
So I can tell you what not to eat, definitely.
Yeah, see, it's maybe a visual thing, right? You know, because I know some that I don't.
So my recommendation is never eat a mushroom you find in the woods.
Oh, no. As I said, I don't want to blow my lid.
Yeah.
I know what to do.
But
The
if,
consequences are a little too high.
yeah, but are you looking for like mushroom hikes? Like what exactly are you looking
Yeah,
for?
more just for me to know.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we can talk
'cause
later.
I've got them all around my property, and I like them.
Yeah.
You know,
I've got a
I've
really
got a log that I know is spiked with the right things, but you know, yeah, I know there's edible ones around.
Mhm.
I just think there's that fine line.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's
Well-
more curiosity than anything.
Yeah, well, let me know what you're looking for, and I can definitely help you, because I do know some tips and tricks depending, like, from morels to false morels, like, kind of what you're looking for,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
chanterelles or chicken over wood or things like that. You can talk to me about that
And
later.
we might be able to do like a hike with mushroom ID. We just won't eat any of them because we're not 100% sure on whether or not we got, you know, the false chanterelle to the regular chanterelle, because if you make that mistake, you have a high consequence to pay for that. So it's not quite the same with other things, but mushrooms are, you know, there's like 3 outcomes and 2 of them are poor. So yeah, any other questions? Yeah.
How long are the typical days? Are they any half days, or they're all
For the work
full?
days?
Yes.
So if we're doing weed patch or one of those longer ones where the access is hard to get to, then that's gonna be like a full day. But if we're doing like Ditmer Watts or ICC or even Buffalo Creek Park, that the access is easier, we usually work about 3 hours. Sometimes we'll go a little bit longer, or we'll go a little bit less depending on the size of the group, how everybody's feeling. This last work day with the rock crushers, they wanted to get those stairs done. So we ended up being out there a little longer than we expected, just because like we were so close to finishing the staircase that we couldn't just leave at our
If you
designated
weren't
time.
doing that, you could leave.
Yeah, we did have the Lake Lure Classical Academy stayed out there for like 2 hours
Yeah.
and left earlier. So if you were like, I really want to go to this work day, but it's 3 hours, I can only be out there 2 hours. As long as it's not weed patch where like you're stuck with us for the day, you could leave early and spend 2 hours and go on out. Any other questions?
Like at Ditmer Watts, like right at the beginning, I mean, I know you're supposed to pack in, pack out, people go out there and stuff. Is it not possible to get a park spray garbage can out there?
That is the town of Lake Lure.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
So
okay.
we have discussed back and forth about that, mainly because of the litter issue. Part of it does blow over from, I think, the English
sure,
parking
yeah.
lot. But as of right now, there's a logistical issue with actually emptying it. So if we put one out there, we don't have a service to empty it, then we just get an overflowing trash can, and we're worried that that might create a bigger trash issue, because then people are like, oh, somebody's gonna pick it up and they'll just stick it on top of the trash can. And
What about the folks who cut the
domino
grass?
effect. What's that?
Folks who cut the grass.
That is also
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
that's fine.
question. We've chatted about it. We're still pushing for it because I feel the exact same way you do. I get out there and I'm like,
You
but
also
yeah.
need to be a bear-proof can.
It would also need to be a bear-proof can. Part of the reason there is still so much trash out there is there was a big open dumpster there during the hurricane, and people would throw stuff in there, but there was no lid to it. So the animals got in there and like got it out. So we're trying to kind of recover from that. We may have a litter sweep out there though, where we can actually pick
I mean,
stuff
like I
up.
said, I pick stuff up every day.
Yeah.
You know, that's my contribution, but I just thought like, some people would, they just don't, you know,
Yeah.
they just,
Yeah.
put it in the car.
I would suggest if you want to get that known, other than just us advocating for it all the time, let the town of Lake Lure know that you're interested in that as well. Yeah. Well, we'll close it here. If you have any extra questions, you're welcome to come up to our info table. There are some snacks back there provided by Rumbling Ball. So if you're hungry, go grab them. And otherwise, thank you for joining us today, and we hope we can update you with positive information soon.
And don't forget to pick up the little info sheet on all the sections of the river we talked about.
Yeah.
A lot of like that big highlight info is on that sheet at that first table.
Yeah, you can also take a picture of it with your phone if you don't want to bring something back with you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.